is a paid programming, and KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
Voter fraud hits close to home. All-Star game uniforms are atrocious. Mayoral candidate David Crook and a whole lot more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face.
I'm a mime.
Mime on radio doesn't work. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Hey, sorry.
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 Should we do this?
I don't know. What's the weather?
Oh.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at Deerlam Feed. It is 90. No, right now it's what? It's 81 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 94. It's just going to be straight up hot.
Yeah.
I came in this morning, beautiful, huge, full moon. Did you see that?
Yeah, I watched it rise last night because I had nothing else to do.
Right.
That was nice. Pretty cool. Between periods of the hockey game.
Honestly, went to bed
Went
last
outside.
night at 8 o'clock. Got
I
home.
watched the Montreal Canadiens beat the Vegas Golden Knights in overtime. So for the first time in, I think, 10 years, Canada has a team playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. First time for Montreal since '93, when I think they last won it.
So
And I think they might be the last Canadian team to have won a Stanley Cup as well.
who are they playing? Are they playing Calgary?
No, we don't know yet because the
Playing the Rangers?
The Islanders and Tampa Bay series will conclude tonight, Game 7. So they'll play one of those two teams. So it'll be the Islanders. But and here's the difference: Islanders fans throw a bunch of beer cans and bottles on the ice after the game. Montreal fans, oh wait, there weren't enough of them in attendance to do anything. But here's the stupidity of Canada on display for the entire world. They're showing, Montreal scores a goal, a smattering of applause in the, Bell Center. And because they're only letting in so many fans and they're all socially distanced and they're spread throughout the, 18,000 seat arena.
Right.
So then they flash to a picture outside the arena and it is jam-packed with people shoulder to shoulder, mayhem outdoors. They're not burning and looting and rioting. They're cheering on the Montreal Canadiens. But could Canada as a country look any stupider than the fact that you've got a few people inside and you've got tens of thousands of people standing as closely packed together like sardines outside in a confined space? I mean, it's just but we're following a science, folks.
What is the word? Hypocrisy. Telltale sign of the left.
This was just, but congrats to the Habs. They I tell you what, they played a pretty good game. They led early.
You call them the Habs?
Yeah, the Habs. Tampa Bay tied it up.
Where does that come from?
It's French for something. It's just a nickname they've had. The Habitant de Canadien. I think.
You better.
Something like that.
Oh, like inhabitant.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's not appropriating. It could be racist.
But
it sounds homophobic and sexist.
No, it does not.
Yes.
But congrats to Montreal. They've been a fun team to watch. Carey Price absolutely steals the show. If the Montreal Canadiens go on to win the Stanley Cup, Carey Price is your Conn Smythe Trophy winner as a Stanley Cup playoff MVP because he's been, in my opinion, the reason Montreal has even got – and don't forget, they were down 3-1 against Toronto in their first-round series. And I think since then have gone 11-2.
Speaking of going 11-2, that's not enough to catch the Astros, who won, I think, their 11th straight last night. They won 12-3 over Detroit. If you listen closely, you hear them scoring again.
Again.
I'm wearing a vintage T-shirt from the 2005 National Football Championship, which would be Texas' last. Made an appearance in 2010 and got beat by Alabama. But Texas advances after beating Virginia yesterday, 6-0 in the College World Series. They chose a hard path. as I understand it now, you have to get through your pool,
which is double elimination.
Right, and which means Texas now has to beat Mississippi State twice. Very difficult to do. And hats off to Mississippi State. I mean, they're a great program. But, I mean, they're not really, as far as history goes and all that, they're not Texas. You can go back, the classic matchup of all time between Texas and Mississippi State is when Bobby Thigpen and Jeff Brantley, Will Clark, and Rafael Palmeiro all played for Mississippi State. I mean, Clark was the number 2 in 1985. Will Clark was drafted second in the Major League draft, which most great players didn't go to college back then either. And he was the number 2 pick in the entire draft in 85.
Who went first? 85.
I do not know the probably
Gooden.
Doc Gooden. That's exactly who I was thinking. You may be right. But think about that. And Texas beating them. Funny thing, this one of their main pitchers was just cruising, and a Longhorn hit a ball, hit him on the ankle, and he decided to stay. And
Kurt Schilling?
They touched him up after that. Yeah, touched him up. We have a call coming in. Let's see who this is. It's a wireless caller. Let's see who that is. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Wade and Carter. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Wade and Carter.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hi. Who's this? Fonzie.
Fonzie, what's up, baby? They look good, didn't they? I don't know. I didn't watch it. I slept. But I'll tell you.
You beat a school that's better known for basketball.
Well, are they really known for anything? Are they known for anything other than academics? I mean, not really. Virginia, it's a great,
Ralph Sampson.
Great school. That was. Yeah, they're looking good. And how are you doing, sir? Good. There you go. There you have it. They had a weather delay, and they didn't start until like 10 o'clock. Right. Well, thanks for checking in with us. And we're going to have David Crook on here in a minute to talk about the mayoral race. And kick back and cool your heels. All right, babe. We'll see you soon.
That's good for the Horns.
We liked it.
That'll be an interesting series because that was a pretty good.
That
first game was a good one. I mean, Mississippi State pitched and struck out like 20 batters.
19 or 20 of them, I think.
Yeah, the starting pitcher at one point, and 14 of his 16 outs were by strikeout. I mean, that's
crazy. But going into that game, the Horns had 5 straight playoff games where they had scored 10 runs or more.
Yeah.
So is it an anomaly? I guess we'll find out. They scored 6 last night.
He's probably not going to pitch. When's the first game tonight?
I do not know that. Probably.
He's probably not going to pitch the first game, but I guess when was that game? That was Tuesday night, I think, right? He could come back for Saturday.
Yeah. College kids, I mean.
Yeah, they'll bounce back.
I watched Greg Swindell pitch like in all 3 games against TCU one year. Got the win, got a save, got the win in the other
appearance. Yeah. PB Now says Astros and Longhorns are hot. Let's see who's all in today. Chris Conrad, good morning to you. Karen Webb is in. David Glass, Scott Tomko, Roy Gutierrez, Patrick Strauss.
Hello, Roy.
Stephanie Miller says Calgary's going to be up in the upper 90s next week. My brother sent me a screenshot. It will be warmer in Calgary on Tuesday and Wednesday than it will here, like 99. But I told him it's a dry heat.
Does everybody up there have air conditioning though, right? No, folks. I mean, if it's in the 90s and you're elderly in Calgary, you better watch what you're doing.
Yeah, but here's the thing: at night, you're going to get down to the low 60s, so you're going to get some relief, and you can always go into the basement and sleep in the basement where it's cooler.
With the roaches.
No, there's no roaches.
There's no roaches up there.
It's living space. Too cold for the roaches.
Legit point.
Living space up there. Brett Anderson's in. He gives the horns up. Lisa Poole's watching. Good morning, Lisa. To you.
T-Lab's in somewhere. I'm sure Cheryl's in. Good morning to you, ladies.
Chris Conrad says Virginia's now a lacrosse school. They just won the NCAA championship.
Right. I had one of those deals, and and so you love to have pride about your university. You love to have pride about the place that you've gone. Like some trivia about Washington State that's important. There was a deal. This guy said,
"Don't win much of anything."
Well, this guy put on there something about I had on Twitter, and I said, there's really very few comparisons, if any, where Virginia comes out on top of Texas. And this guy sent back, well, maybe academics. And you know what? Maybe academics, but I did a little research, and Texas and A&M's the same way. These are, of course, we have mega, degree. It's like Amazon for degrees at these schools. But Texas has 49 degrees that are ranked in the top 10 in the country. 49 that you can major in where you're at a quote-unquote top 10 school for your degree. That's pretty impressive.
That is. Who ranks them? The professors teaching those classes?
Yeah, it's the official University of Texas poll.
Exactly.
What's your point? Control is everything. When you have the control group. Speaking of control.
If you lose control, you're out on the highways and byways of South Texas, Allen's Wrecker Service.
That's the best segue you've ever done, but I was about to talk about voter fraud. We'll get back to that.
We got to stay on our break.
578-6300, that's the number for Allen's Wrecker Service. If David Crook allows his campaign to get off track, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. The VCS companies, our banner sponsor. Great to see Jim Hartman last night at
Good to see him
Judge Zeller's. Judge Zeller gets up, makes an announcement. Oh, by the way,
big announcement,
much anticipated. Tells him he's going to run again. Number one, duh. And number two, didn't he announce that 3 weeks ago on our show?
I think so.
Yeah. He said, I'm proud to announce it first here on Wade Carter.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and everybody that was there last night, Constance Philly Johnson, Sheriff Marr, Ricky De La Garza, when you go around with Jeannie Morris, and they all listened to the show. They all knew that the judge was going to run. Very well done, though. And Brother Gary, I have to tell you, Brother Gary is the consummate pro. Completely got up and just,
ad-libbed a nice introduction.
Ad-libbed a beautiful introduction, heartfelt.
Yeah.
About, the closeness he feels to the judge and
his family.
It was wonderful. Yeah, it was really great. It was a very nice event.
Made sure he mentioned all 8 of the judge's kids.
Yeah, it's like the Brady Bunch. The Zeller Bunch. Chesnick Furniture, 101 years in downtown Victoria, 70 in their new location. Get by and see Bobby Leon. Let him help you go home with the best recliner, half off. Want to buy it today, deliver tonight, save you money? No. Chesnick Furniture. You just do better at Chesnick.
Any look you're trying to achieve, they've got furniture to fill your needs.
They can get you that kind of industrial postmodern look like from the 60s where have the metal legs and the sofa's like above the ground about 6 inches. Cool.
It's coming back.
It is coming back. What's old is new. Do you have any flare bottom pants?
I don't.
Bell bottom pants?
Not anymore. Couldn't fit into them.
I bet you Crook's got some bell bottom pants
back in the day, but not anymore.
I've never seen Crook in anything but shorts ever. It's going to be the most casual mayor we've ever had. I mean, right?
True story.
It's T-shirt Tuesday. Come on into the city council meeting. Well, we're going to turn the thermostat up, keep the grid happy. Everybody wear a wife beater and come on in. What else you got?
Last day to get into Veracruz.
Why would
today? Because they'll be closed tomorrow and Sunday.
Absolutely. Get by Veracruz today. You can, by the way, call this morning around 11 o'clock. Tell them you want an enchilada casserole to go. You can eat it over the weekend. No reason to lose any weight over the weekend. Just get a hold of that enchilada casserole. You'll be thrilled.
Well, when you keep that thermostat at 50, you need the fat to warm up.
It's like whale blubber. Yeah, you ever wake up like, I thought I had abs. Really, it was just the fat on my belly was marble. It was so hot. I mean, it was so cold that it was just like it firmed up.
It firmed up.
It's like tripe.
It flattened. Jeff Fonseca says, don't trip over all the names you dropped.
Right, exactly. Well,
J-Dub's checking in. Jimmy Simpson, good morning.
Bill Posey was there. The Bill Posey and Leandro. Yeah, there's no J in there.
No.
Leandro. Lee De La Garza. Super nice. Got to meet his wife. Nice lady. She works for Frostbank.
Very, very charitable.
She was, Well,
still with Lee after all these years.
We can't throw stones.
No.
Women are quite benevolent as a
They are.
group.
So before we bring David in, what do you make of Major League Baseball? Because we're huge baseball fans. A game that probably has more tradition than any other. And
Not to be confused with a tradition unlike any other.
No, not at all.
Right.
They get all woke and they move the All-Star game out of Georgia because of interesting story there too. Side note, Stacey Abrams, who was all Jim Crow 2.0, remember that?
Yep.
When Joe Manchin had put forth his voter ID amendment to the, Saving America's Elections Act or whatever that House HR 1 was called, or, whatever stupid name they came up with it, right?
That made it positive.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden she was for the voter ID because it was now a Democrat's idea. And it might have helped them pass that federal law or bill to try to regulate elections. But, earlier this spring, she was all Jim Crow 2.0 when Georgia wanted to enact voter ID laws, which really was just taking them back to what was going on pre-COVID, when secretaries of state in Georgia and other states around the country were just enacting rules without going through the legislative process like they should, as prescribed by the Constitution.
Yep.
But anyway, I digress. When she was getting all butthurt about voter ID laws and calling them Jim Crow 2.0, Major League Baseball went all woke and got the heck out of Georgia with the All-Star game as a result. Well, this week she's walking it backwards going, well, who would be against voter ID laws was basically what she was saying.
She was.
Yeah, she was.
Vehemently.
Yes.
Vocally.
But not anymore because it might have had a chance to help pass it. But anyway, Major League Baseball gets the heck out of Georgia.
Which is bad. When sports start making political statements, it's not ideal.
So then they move it over to Colorado, and they come up with all-star game uniforms. And I'm not talking the batting practice tops. I hope this is what Major League Baseball will do, is turn these into the batting practice tops. The hats are okay. I didn't mind the hats so much. But they've got these blue, or maybe they're purple, I don't know, blue and white uniforms, and they're atrocious. They've got the team logo here. They've got their official abbreviation underneath it running vertically on the side.
Is that the shape of the World Series trophy that's on that?
I don't know.
They have like your logo. There's a common logo or common look, and then the team logo is in the middle. If you're an Astro,
and then the 3-letter abbreviation of the team is in behind that.
Yeah, if you're a Yankee, it's got the Yankees. If you're an Astro, it's got a trash can there.
Yeah.
For the cheating scandal. Because baseball's moving forward, but only at the Astros' expense.
Yeah. But they're terrible. They look bad. They're hard to see. They're just not a good look for baseball. And baseball has for years always worn, if it's hosted in National League City, the American League brings in their road unis and they wear them, and the National League teams would all wear their home whites.
And there was a time that was cool because you got to see the Yankees in a pinstripe, or you got to see Oakland in a green shirt, that you never, you got to see it live as opposed to once a month in Sports Illustrated.
And I still think it's cool because they're all on the field together. They're all wearing their own uniforms. It's an all-star game. You can see which teams are represented. I remember, I think it was the 84 All-Star game, possibly. Lou Whitaker, remember that one?
Sweet Lou.
Somebody swiped his Detroit Tigers uniform at the airport. So they were in, I believe it was in Oakland. They were in the All-Star game merchandise shop finding a Lou Whitaker replica jersey that would fit him so he could wear it in the game because somebody had swiped his stuff.
Now you can just run to Academy.
Yeah.
Grab one.
But these things are just atrocious. And it's just another step of and I'm not sure who's making all these decisions for Major League Baseball. They seem to be a bit of a rudderless ship. But this is just another decision. In every other sport, it works. You have all-star uniforms, and it works because you've got a team on the same field or the same rink or the same court, and it works.
Baseball, same ice for curling, all-star curling.
Yeah, baseball just, I don't know why they did this. Was it try to be more like the other sports? I don't know. Or they're trying,
Sounds like you're kind of offering up your services. I've been extremely impressed through the years, honestly, with the Jaguar uniforms. Good looking logo. I've liked the black with the red. And just enough gold to make it work.
Thank you.
Sharps, and people don't know this. I'm going to throw it out there. You actually design those.
I do. I have a say in them. It's a brand. You gotta protect the brand.
And you sew prototypes in women's clothes. Like you'll wear a little skirt.
See my mannequins in the office.
Right, sure.
Pin it all together.
Yeah.
Tracing patterns.
Sure.
But anyway.
Up next, the Transgender Athletic Director Olympics.
Ted Meyer says, good morning, go Horns. Stephanie Miller says Biden is just as good as running the country as Major League Baseball is running.
Well, that's true. We could put Biden as commissioner of baseball. They'd be out of business in 6 months. So, what do you make of this? You've got time, right? We're good?
Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were telling me not to say something. I listen when you do that. No, I just read a deal here. It's a syndicated column. It was left here by the Bill Posey. Yeah. It says that the most influential non-voter in Texas, and they're saying that in the Republican primary, whether it's what's his name, Sid Miller, or Alan West, for example, we talked about the other day, or Don Huffines, that subconsciously, without you even thinking about it, Greg Abbott has already secured the Republican nomination for governor because he has got the quasi-pseudo endorsement of Donald Trump. He's got it. Trump's coming down. Trump's going to the border with him. He's championing Trump's wall. And then these other people are all just vying for second place because subconsciously, even though it's the populist, there's a small group of true like Trumpers. Everybody else in Texas is fairly independent. There's the mystique that it's Trump and Abbott, that Abbott's the guy Trump wants. So therefore, Abbott's going to win. You make anything out of that?
The columnist has a point. And all you have to do is to look at the reaction of the Democrat Party to former President Trump's announcement that he was going to go visit the border next week. And all of a sudden, Kamala Harris, who had no idea where the U.S. border was,
she's on a plane
between Mexico and Texas.
She's there today, in fact.
She's making plans to get to El Paso as fast as she can.
Yeah,
if you don't think Donald Trump is still living in the heads of Joe Biden and his administration, you need to look no further than the reaction by Kamala Harris to get to the border as fast as she could to prove the point that Donald Trump is still as influential to the Democrats and what they do, and make it so apparent that Trump derangement syndrome is alive and well.
He completely controls their minds. The idea somebody in Washington went, oh Lordy, Donald Trump's going down to the border with Greg Abbott. Kamala, you have to go. You've got to beat him there.
Yeah. But so let's not go to the hot spot. Let's go to El Paso, where we've still got Democrat friends and Beto's there, and we can find a safe space for you to land and hang out with friends.
Don't fly to Harlem, Jim. Go down to Brownsville.
Let's not go to where the actual problem is. And now you're starting to see pictures of cartel members coming across the border with guns drawn.
Yeah, protecting their.
I mean, to me now, this is no longer just a bunch. This is no longer an immigration issue. If you're coming across the border illegally with guns, you're now invading our country.
Yep.
You've just enacted terrorism or war. Time for the Army to step up and time to secure our border properly. Anybody walks across that border with a gun, you don't have to ask questions first.
Shoot them. I agree 100%.
You're now invading a country.
I'd shoot them with no guilt. By the way, that editorial was from Ross Ramsey, the executive director and co-founder of the Texas Tribune. Why don't we get Mr. Crook in here? He's been very patient.
As he's making his way to the mic, we'll take our next break.
All right. The Ansonover dealership since 1926, people. I mean, that ought to sum it up. If you can be in business since 1926, 95 years this year, since Ed Ansonover first sold a Chevy right here in Victoria. I mean, Chevy hadn't been around 10 years at that point, if at all. Hardly at all. I think 1923 or something.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
So anyway.
Fledgling brand.
Flash forward, they've morphed and evolved and grown to include the brands, the marks of Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Chevy. They've got all makes and models of service for your Buick, your Ford, whatever. They can fix it. They also do all paint and body shop. They can match everybody's paint, and they'll do your inspections and all your little stuff too. Go by Atzenhofer today.
That's a science now rather than art. Remember when your body shop guy used to mix the paint and try to get the exact shade?
Now they can take
it,
computer image it, and they can even match your faded paint. As your paint has evolved over the life of your vehicle. So get by there since 1926, Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com to White Trash Services, 550-1826.
Trash collection in Victoria County, 6 surrounding counties, Rockport, Holiday Beach.
They don't discriminate at all. Areas with voter fraud, no problem. White Trash Services will pick up the trash. Bloomington, no problem.
No problem.
Scoop it right up.
Victoria County, no problem.
1826. BJ Nelson, Scott Nelson, their team out there. Give them a call. And you'll talk to a person. That's a great thing about it. We need to talk to BJ or Scott. You just call, and they are there. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team.
Somebody last night was asking me about website and security, and I said, call JP at Razor IT.
Yep, you're dealing with encryption and data storage and the cloud and all these things that they sound so familiar, but you have no idea what you're talking about. Really. So you just have to get a hold of JP, let him help you with data encryption and all that good stuff. And then the law offices of Steve Kidder. It was great to see Steve last night. He was at Judge Zeller's party.
Enjoyed visiting with him last night.
I'll drop another name. Very interesting cat. Great to see. In fact, Steve is the first person that told us about this voter fraud issue we're going to deal with in a little while. But Steve Kidder can help you. And he likes the idea that I say, hey, Steve Kidder can help you stay out of the courtroom. Sometimes having a good lawyer is a deterrent to getting sued.
And he joked at me yesterday. I started to go down a legal trail. He goes, "Let me recommend somebody to help you."
Right. Nice.
He didn't want to take my case.
Reach out to him. And then right here on Red River, the Health Bar, Complete 360. That's up on the north side, right next to Buffalo Wild Wings. But you've got smoothies, paninis, supplements, all kinds of snacks. And by the way, they have a whole case on the north side for sure of pre-made meals where everything's already done out with your macros. If you're really trying to work out hard and you're trying to manage what you do, if you eat 1 or 2, macro defined meals a day, you're making progress.
Yeah. So they've got the meal preps. They've got everything you need for a healthy living and healthy lifestyle. They can even offer up suggestions on working out and all sorts of good stuff. I
was just about to blurt out that Brandon Webb and his team will do everything they can. It's funny. It's not a lack of vocabulary that leads me to use the word team a lot when we talk about our sponsors. They are and work as a team. I mean, Allen's Wrecker Service has lots of people that have been there for long periods of time.
Small locally owned businesses.
And they're fantastic. Yeah. Well, not Steve Kidder. That's a big
multinational law firm.
That's exactly right. He's international.
You walk in his door and you think, small office. And then he takes you back into the catacombs.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Where all the bodies are.
Yep. So Montana checking in. Morning, fellas.
Go Habs. Yeah, we talked about that. Pete, we've already talked about that. We're not sure if referring to the Canadians as inhabitants, if that's appropriating, could be racist, homophobic, transgenderish. I don't know, but we know that it can't be totally right. It can't be absolutely the right thing to do. So we're putting the video over on our friend David Crook, and we're really going to just no softballs today, really going to press him hard, really put the hammer to him right now. Ash, go ahead.
I thought you had the first question.
Oh, no, I don't have one.
David, welcome.
Talk right into that one.
You got to talk right into the end of it.
That's like one of the original mics.
And you can move it around. It's not going to make noise. If you have to hold it, you can, so you're not kinking your neck a weird way. But good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Softball question.
Well, you gotta soften them up because the hard balls, you got to catch them by surprise. It's
right.
60 minutes. This isn't 60 minutes where you just show up at the door and go,
that's a bad
screwed.
Day. If 60 minutes shows up, hi, I'm Morley Safer. That's not good.
Back in the day, it wasn't good. I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah.
But they don't try to expose anybody except Republicans and those that don't believe in the way they do. So, how's the campaign going?
Mine's pretty laid back. It's just me funding it. So me and Facebook. Hey, $25 goes a long way on Facebook.
That's right.
I'm sure people on here in Victoria area getting annoyed and seeing my numbers.
Zuckerberg hasn't throttled you back yet?
No. I guess it's because I didn't have to, like, when I put in to register my thing, I didn't have to go Democrat or Republican, you know, so they were like, oh, he's okay.
Right.
You say Republican, I would have, like, got suspended for 2 weeks automatically.
Just automatically, yeah. That's just the way it goes. That's the first rule of Zuckerberg.
Yeah, my wife's grandfather, he always gets suspended. All the time. He's always in Facebook jail.
At some point, why would you even still be on Facebook if you're always in jail, right? Or you just unless you're trying to push the envelope. But so what have you been doing with? You mentioned Facebook. What other strategies are you taking with the campaign for mayor? Because you're running you're candidate for mayor, one of three. So tell me how's that campaign going?
Well, mine's, you know, I don't have the big budget like my others. So really, I just try to be as interactive on Facebook as I can when people want to ask me questions, chit chat. You know, I still go to like the Southside Community Coalition meetings. I went to the Republican meeting. The hard thing is that all these meetings want to be on Monday nights, and that's the night I have wheelchair basketball with the Bad News Shares. So it makes things a little complicated for running practice and whatnot. So this past Monday, well, we didn't have practice because there was I guess someone had an accident downtown that took out some power.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I just ended up hung out at the Republicans meeting. But normally I have to hang out at 1, and then I have to leave early to go open the gym and get wheelchair basketball going. So
what's the biggest, like if you're down the south side at a coalition meeting down there, what's the biggest issue you're hearing down there that folks think is facing Victoria?
From down on that side, a lot of them, they don't think the city really cares about that side of town, is what they're hearing, is what they say. But I like them because they that group of people that, you know, they're not just sitting around complaining about it. You know, they're doing things and they're holding events for their kids and whatnot, and that's what I like the most. I go there because I want to help out.
Yeah, and that's also, you know, that would be my message to the south side also, is like, hey, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and get after it. If not because they're not worthy of city support, but because if you're waiting on the city to solve your problems, you're just going to be complaining forever. The thing to do is have the Southside Spring Festival and barbecue cook-off, where all of a sudden Victorians have a reason to go to the South Side, except to go down and talk about the problems of the South Side. Too many people will go to the South Side to sit and talk about the problems facing the South Side, but nobody comes up with a reason for me to go down there just to be down there. And if you think that I'm being unfair, it's the same thing as what's going on a lot of times in downtown Victoria. We need a downtown Victoria needs to be thriving. Well, thrive it. Get down there and beat Torrent Bales, beat JP Hull. Get down there and do something. Gobble up some real estate, make it happen. So yeah, I applaud you for going down and spending time down there. And down there, it's just right there. Yeah, you know, it's not like we're going to Bloomington to vote.
Yeah. See it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see it from there. Tell me what else. So, I mean, I'm gonna throw out there a couple of facts. You're running against a former city council member who is a lifetime politician, Emmett Alvarez. You're running against Jeff Bauchnight, who just won 80-something% of the vote in his district to be reelected as a. Well, except I know, you know, they both own small businesses here in town, and you know, Bauchnight's not. Neither one of them's a politician in the pure sense because they don't make any money doing this. Right. So what? I mean, being honest, you think you're going to win this race?
I don't see why not. You know, I'm the only conservative, which Victoria is a pretty conservative area, and I'm running like a normal. I just want to help out.
So,
like a normal person.
Emmett gets labeled the last conservative Democrat on the planet, and he is fiscally conservative. Bauchnight is probably the most conservative man I've ever known. Give me your definition of conservative that labels you a conservative versus those guys. I mean,
well,
Emmett is pretty obvious because he's a Democrat.
Sure, so we can always label him a liberal.
Yeah.
Sure. But Balknight, I mean,
Well, Balknight says he's a libertarian.
well, yeah, which to me is like a Republican with some sense, you know? So I'm kind of like, okay.
You know, like, well, I just saw how they were do that proposed budget, how they want to increase it by like 14 million. And I'm like, well, what happened to, you know, I thought we were trying to save money. You know, all the improvements we're seeing around town are from grants. So why do we need to improve the budget? And then they just came, Crossroads yesterday announced how the city's looking for the citizens' input for that, the COVID relief money. So we know that COVID relief money isn't in the budget, yet they want to increase the budget for $14 million.
Right.
You know, so that money's got to come from somewhere.
I struggle a little bit with some of this seeking of the public's input all the time. I think you hire these people to make the decisions, right? And then if they don't make the decisions you want, you vote them out. But the idea that we're going to have this is not a Baptist church. Everybody doesn't bring a casserole and let's sit around and argue about the merits of where this $500,000 is going to go. That's what city council does. Are you capable of leading that meeting and saying, hey, I don't want to go this direction. I want to stay focused on this. I mean, 'cause I think that's what the mayor is kind of a referee.
Yeah, your mayor's direct, you know, and I think that's my difference from myself versus the other two is they want to keep Victoria going in this same direction we've been going down this rabbit hole, and I think it's a horrible plan. You know, we've only been losing jobs and everything else since 2014. 2014 was the last we had Caterpillar come in, and then 2015 we've lost oil. You know, I was one of them because I actually what brought me to Victoria was oil. I had a job with Pioneer Natural Resources, you know, out there. Well, luckily, you know, I was deployed when they moved everyone out, so I didn't have to. But when I came back, they're like, "Hey, well,
lucky deployment." Yeah. Hey,
So what is your vision then for Victoria to take us down a different path that you think is one that will see Victoria prosper?
I don't know why we haven't tried to push more for, you know, we have highways, you know, we have what, three or four major highways. We have rail. We have an underutilized airport that we just now they got a new contract with United, you know, and then we even have the Port of Victoria. There's no reason we should have industries like pounding at our door for, you know, because of our location alone. You know, you can't go from Corpus to Houston or to San Antonio without going through us.
Brent and I have questioned that.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
How the amenities we have don't either get utilized or
underused for sure. I do agree with that.
Sometimes ignored.
Yeah, it's like I drive past to go to my grandfather's house. You know, there's a like warehouse building. It has like it has like 6 truck docks. It has rail access, and it's been empty for like 2 years or more.
Yeah.
2 years since I noticed it. With that, you know, and I'm like, how, you know?
So what would your plan be then to find those places and attract the businesses to Victoria that, like you said, haven't really been attracted since Caterpillar in the oil field? They just kind of showed up. Let's be honest. I don't want to say that was probably luck of where we're located more so than anyone's efforts to bring some of those oil field service companies here because they had no place else to go when the Eagle Ford blew up, right?
Right. We've always been all your Houston-based Halliburton, Schlumberger's, we've always been the quickest jumping off point because we could get you, we're that much closer to Alice. We're that much closer to Cotulla. We're that much closer to the valley. So it always made sense to have a hub here. But how do you
lead that charge?
Yeah.
So I think I said it on Bill Posey's show once.
Bill Posey.
Yeah.
Posey.
He invited me like twice. I thought y'all forgot about me.
No, we didn't forget about you.
But
Posey.
I have a friend. He's in the military. He works at Amazon as the military. He's the head of the military programs. I guess would be the thing. And so I was talking to him about giving us an Amazon distribution center. I was like, because we're the crossroads. I was like, you go one out because the big thing right now is that last mile.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to. I know you haven't seen one here, but if you go to like Houston or San Antonio, you see those Amazon like vans. They're like Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they have a little crying smiley face. And that's that last mile they talk about. And so I was talking to him like, what do we need to do, to do that? So he's looking into the person that's leading that and whatnot. And if I have to start it because they have a military program, I could do it. I'll put my wife in a van and have her be a driver.
It's interesting.
It makes perfect sense when you've got an airport with the runways that we have and the capacity to land big cargo laden planes.
I didn't know a warehouse, like I was saying. I know a warehouse I can work at.
There's the Amazon logo is actually very, very well thought out. When you see the word Amazon, the little prime, it goes from A to Z. The arrowhead points at the Z on the word Amazon. It's pretty cool. So
Subliminal.
It's very A to Z. It's pretty smart.
Yeah,
They've got you covered.
Yeah, so that's the simplest one I would think of. Amazon. That's like you go 1 hour and we have like 12 cities around us. So you can
No doubt. And aside from say the big four of Houston, Corpus, San Antonio, and Austin, we're the biggest city in the middle of all of them.
Absolutely.
Nobody else is even really close.
So what else are you hearing aside from that's one that's obvious? But what are the people telling you when you're talking to the people? What are they saying needs to be fixed?
Well, everyone's gonna say the roads.
Okay, let's forget the roads. Everybody knows about the roads and how crappy they are in this town and how they've been neglected for 30 years.
Things I hear a lot of people complain about because there's not a lot to do. That's the big one is there's nothing to do in Victoria, and I understand. And same thing though, I don't believe the city should be running that. The city's not. Me and my wife were talking about it, like for the mall. It's half empty, which I think is horrible. Honestly, as a city, we should be calling up those owners that are, I guess, the companies out of Georgia. Like, hey, y'all need to figure this out. Or just full speed ahead, like they're planning on that strip mall over next to Home Depot that's like 2 blocks away. It's like, hey, we'll just run you out of business and someone else can buy it and take over.
Well, and that's the thing. Somebody else is going to come in and fill that void, but there's obviously a reason. I mean, the owners of the mall obviously do not see a need to fill it in order to, obviously make some money. But, I don't, but I tend to agree with you. I don't know if the city needs to be involved in certain things, but working to bring business here for sure.
As a business person that has the money, me and my wife were talking. We're not business. We literally don't have any of that money, kind of thing. But we were talking like at the old Sears place. One of the best things we were thinking about is, man, could you imagine having like a Dave and Buster's in there? It wouldn't compete with like Chuck E. Cheese, Peter Piper, any of those local places.
It's an adult Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it'd
be pretty cool.
Yeah, because it'll. Kids can go there, play some games.
Ashley and I thought about putting a mattress store, check cashing place,
another Mexican restaurant.
Yeah. What else?
Bail bonds place.
Yeah. All right there. No bail bonds on the north side.
We do have a question from a listener. Zach Smith wants to know, what would you do if you're elected mayor? What would you spend the money that the city is set to receive from the federal government under the America Rescue Plan? What, $14 million, I believe, right?
I think they already allocated like 4 of it, so now there's like 10 left. So
okay, but if you're elected mayor, would you have the ability or influence to say, whoa, that $4 million, we need to slow that down? Or would you? I don't know. Do you know?
I would have to look at it. I don't know what the $4 million is already allocated for. If it's like for roads, and I'm like, hey, we need it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say fix. Yeah, I'd go with roads, infrastructure, part of it, and then another part we could use is probably I think they talked about, because how there's only certain amounts, it has to go to certain areas. Well, I think one of the areas we could do was broadband internet services.
That's a great idea.
Maybe then we can bring in someone besides Suddenlink.
Right.
Hold Suddenlink, put their feet to the fire, maybe make them more reliable.
Victoria does seem to be somewhat held hostage by several near monopolies, oligopolies, where there's only a couple of, right? There's only correct use of the term. There's only a couple of, providers available. So, I'm not a huge Suddenlink fan, and their service is terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
But you have to think. I mean, obviously, if another company thought they'd come in and make money providing those services in a city of
Right.
70,000 people, they would be doing.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's-
Maybe we're not as important as we
It
think
might
we
be a
are.
contract issue though. I think if Suddenlink owns the lines, then Suddenlink owns the line, so someone has to bite the bullet to want to put up the money up. front.
Wireless internet all over the whole city. Just make the city a big hotspot. Seems like you could do it.
Other
you know?
cities manage to do it.
Yeah.
You say that you mentioned nothing to do, but I've lived in bigger cities where people make that same complaint. There's nothing to do. I mean, if you're expecting, again, the city to come and save you from your plight or plan your weekend for you, you're sadly mistaken.
And hang on a second, caller. We're gonna get to you. My thought on that is this. I'd be curious what your knee-jerk thought is. The city can't be in the business of making money for people. The city can be in the business of removing red tape, removing obstructions, and making it easier for people. The only reason there's nothing to do, quote unquote, in Victoria is because people can't come here and find a way to make a buck doing it. And it's because, well, we've got a sign ordinance, and I'd like to renovate that old building. Well, you've got to put a sidewalk out front. I'd like to do this. Well, you've got to do that and this and blah, blah, blah. And why don't we find a way to say that Victoria, Texas is open for business and make it happen? I don't know. Maybe that's your gift, is to get in there and make that happen.
I thought that was Mr. Alvarez for a second.
Coming in to blindside you.
Ralph Salazar, the Hall of Famer, is much, much more handsome than Senor Emmett.
So,
Caller's here.
I agree. The city shouldn't be just like for Boot Fest, I don't think the city should be the host. I think the city could be a sponsor, or let some other organizations be the host, because the city loses, I think it's like $30,000 to $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Hosting Boot Fest.
Which is it's an acceptable loss to us. We agree. It's okay.
Not an acceptable loss.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Model.
Well, it's really not, because it's an advertising fee, and you'd be amazed at what you'll find out what cities and counties spend advertising themselves. And if you have a successful event like that, I could see letting the city be a sponsor and letting VEDC be the host. Say, come on to Victoria, come for the party, stay for your lifetime, and get people to come in here and look at bringing their business here. But clearly our city does nothing else where they try to turn a profit. They do nothing but spend our money. So the idea that, well, it's $50,000, that's unacceptable. They waste money in much bigger boatloads every day.
That's crazy. When we have events, I don't hear about them until after the event. You're like, oh, did you hear that carnival that was in town? I was like, we had a carnival in town?
Who we got?
Caller, good morning. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show.
Hello? Sitting Canadian?
Maybe we string them along.
Feel free to call back.
Yeah. James Kerr says he agrees on the Boot Fest comment. Let producers be producers. It's not successful. It's a fiscal failure every year. So, Callie Fromming says, Brent, you're exactly right about the red tape issue. What other issues do you see that you need to fix if you're elected mayor on July 3rd? What would be another priority for you as mayor?
I really want the roads fixed like everyone else, and like I said, I've worked at TxDOT, so I have some of that experience in it, and when I tell people, patching the road, like I drive down Airline a lot because I live over there by the college, and those little patches are from fixing pipes underneath those roads. We all see the vac trucks and everything. Like every summer, you'll see them out there like 3 times throughout the summer. And the problem is, those pipes are like 40 to 50 years old. Well, they've lived their lifespan. It's time to just dig out the whole pipe, redo it, and then you can put down some new hot pipes, and we'll have a nicer ride out of it instead of having 30 patches within 50 feet.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
A bigger patch will give you a smoother ride, and it's going to last you longer. It might cost a little more upfront because, you're going to be replacing that pipe as well, but those are separate pots of money, one's for infrastructure, one's for roads. But you're going to get a better product at the end. So,
And the number one complaint in this city will disappear, and maybe people don't
Right.
want that. I don't know. David, we're almost out of time, so give you about a minute to to sway those who have not voted early or who are undecided why they should vote for you as mayor.
well, so I want to give everyone in the city, I want to give them their voice back. We've all been complaining about it for a while now that the cities says they want to listen to us, but they really don't. And they just keep going along with their plans. They're like, yeah, come on out and we'll have this conversation. What do we want to do with it? And then they just, while we're having the conversation, they're like, oh, okay, just keep pushing it. And they start the process. By the time you end the meeting, they've already started mowing something down. And, so I really want to just give the people their voice back. And, I can always say, at the very least, at the worst case scenario, if you go with me, I'm the new guy and I'm the different way of thinking. But also, if you really don't like me at the end of the year, there's another one.
Right.
I'm like, you can really just think of it as a trial period, because I'm only going to be fulfilling out the remainder.
Yeah, it is a special election.
It's a special election, so I'm only going to be doing the remainder of the year. So, worst case scenario, we have a new election, and then you say, oh man, this guy didn't work out. We get a new one. You go for another guy, you already know what you're going to get because they've been doing it for 8 years or more. They're not going to change anything because they flat out said it. They don't want to change anything. They want to keep things going the way they are. And I don't agree. I would think Victoria, we could be doing a lot better in jobs and just in general. We should always be striving to do better. I don't know where the mindset of we're okay. Let's not try to do anything else. I think that's a horrible mindset, and I want us to try to do better as a community.
There's nothing wrong with that. We appreciate you coming by, and by the way, over the next, I'll trump Bill Posey. If over the next week or so, if you want to come back by, feel free to come back by. You've got the election is on the 3rd.
I'll come by whenever you want.
Just stick your head in.
I live like 2 blocks over.
Well, Pro trot over here and visit with us, and we'll be available. Good luck.
Thank you, David. Good luck.
Road.
All right.
July
appreciate
3rd
it.
is election day. We're going to take our final break, and then we'll get into some final thoughts.
Yeah, we've got them early voting. Motto Mortgage, folks, 541-5454. That's Terry Murray of Motto Mortgage. If you reach out to Terry, right now is a great time. You can make a difference in your own position in the world. Go ahead and get with Terry. Let her help you out, lowering your interest rate, dropping your payment, letting you pull cash out for a renovation or a cash out refi is very common these days. She can help you a bunch. Went services for generators, solar panels,
backup
plumbing,
generators, whole home generators. Maybe your budget doesn't include the whole entire house. They can prioritize things that you don't want to go bad or continue to run if we lose our power, and with these rolling blackouts that ERCOT's doing, now it might be a great time.
Absolutely.
We used to plug storm season. Well, heck, we had a
all
freeze
year.
in the winter that knocked people's power out for almost as long, in some cases as long as a hurricane does.
It's like a freeze in the spring.
So
Now
we've got rolling blackouts. Yeah, maybe now's the time.
You need your own generator. You do at your house. USA Concrete Coatings, polyurethane finish on your floor that's antimicrobial, antibacterial, won't tear, won't fade, won't stick to your tires.
Than epoxy.
You can make it the colors you want, red, white, and blue. You can put Cowboys colors, Texans, Longhorns, Aggies.
Washington State.
They do it all. The Gray Barn, Cheryl, 920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl for your next party. Make it memorable, make it fun, and she can help you out. Now, before we go, we have to talk. We have to address that this
because this doesn't exist according to politicians on the left, right? There's no voter fraud.
No, but it's been going on here in Bloomington since 2018. Monica Mendez, 36, charged with 26 counts of violating.
Well, we don't know where it was.
Oh, I thought it
says Victoria County. Oh, yeah.
2018 Bloomington election.
But there's no details in that thing. It just says during the Bloomington election.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. 26 counts in some of our, let's say each one of those is an act of voter fraud, right? So she's cast a ballot, and then she's done something to affect 26 other ballots. In some of these cases, that would be more than enough to sway an election.
In Bloomington, that could sway an election. It said she did things like marked 3 of voters' ballots without their direction. She failed to properly sign 7 voter
Illegally
envelopes.
influenced 5 other voters. What does that mean? She's
Yeah.
slipping them some cash.
She knowingly possessed 8 voter ballots, and envelopes, and just on and on and on. Just
Okay, so I hadn't seen that update last night,
but
but
there she is. She's right there in Bloomington. It's
it already has a rap sheet a mile long. I did some digging on that last night, and there's a lot of charges against her in her past.
Bless
So,
her heart.
yeah, and this is on a local election. If you think it's that, and I'm going to go on a limb here and say probably somebody was putting her in a position to do this on their behalf,
Sure.
or somebody had put her in a position to influence an election. Because I just don't think, given her criminal history, probably not one that needs that is really that involved in politics.
Right.
More involved in the behavior that she just got arrested for and charged with, right? But
Interesting.
yeah.
What did Judge Posey say?
Said, good week, guys. Take care. Stay cool.
Oh, thanks, Judge. Hope you have a great day, buddy.
You've got, if this is so important on elections for a local level in Bloomington in Victoria County, a small little area of Victoria County, just imagine as you go up the chain.
It grows exponentially.
Absolutely, it does.
At the Harris County level, 26 ballots is 26,000 ballots. And you get to the national level, it's millions.
And there's been voter fraud in the Houston area and San Antonio. Charges have come down. So it's
pesky Republicans.
Yeah, it's not as the media says that it's not a problem and it doesn't exist. It does exist. It needs to be stamped out. I don't care which party is trying to benefit. It's wrong. It's illegal.
It's un-American.
It's un-American. It's undemocratic.
Absolutely. Hey, we love you, folks. Hope you have a great weekend. Please do stay school. Stay cool so you can go to school. I'm going to Splashway tomorrow.
Are you really?
At some point, I'm just going to get in that lazy river and just float around.
Did you give them a call so they can lower the water level?
Well,
when you get in, it doesn't overflow it?
Yeah, they do that. The kids love it. It's like, jump in again, Uncle Brent. Water goes everywhere. It's nice.
Sending kids out the park.
Right. Yeah, I make them sign a disclaimer in case they get splashed up on the shore, snap their little necks. Unbelievable. Folks, we're going to get out of here. Ash's feeling jerky. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you Monday. Bye.
Tough love.
Oh, man. You going to hang around and talk to Ralph?
You want me?
Oh, man.
I don't have much homework this
All right.